Death. Death is coming. Death is here. Death is all around. And for a very long time it didn't actually happen to superhero comic book characters. Well, not important ones anyway. Then of course, the death of Gwen Stacy happened, and that changed a lot of things. Characters were allowed to die. Today's Trainer Nick Talks About Marvel is going to be talking about Kraven's Last Hunt. It's pretty death heavy. So, let's get into it. Who's Kraven the Hunter? Well, Kraven the Hunter is a Spider-Man villain who came into existence in his early days. Essentially, he's a jungle hunter, kind of like Tarzan, to be honest, except with more hunting, who at one point decided that, in order to stake his claim as the best hunter of all time, he had to take out the Spider-Man. So he did his best to. And of course, he got beaten down time and again. Now, Kraven has always been kind of a B-list Spider-Man villain. He doesn't really have superpowers. After beating him once, Spider-Man kinda knew how to beat him every other time, and his depiction in other Spider-Man media, especially Ultimate Marvel, is kinda lacking in any sort of substance. It's like they created this joke character to be beaten up almost as badly as the Shocker does. Not in Kraven's Last Hunt. Kraven's Last Hunt begins with us focusing on Kraven, sitting in his office, naked, and wrestling with giant statues of animals. We see that he's contemplating his life. I am Kraven, the hunter. The best hunter. I've beaten everything that's ever come at me, except the spider. The final test that Kraven imposes upon himself is beat down the spider. Then we cut to Peter Parker. So he goes out web slinging at night, bringing a donation to the Joe Face funeral service. He leaves, and on his way home is attacked by a blow dart. The blow dart is laced with a tranquilizer, and Spidey ends up having to fight Kraven half-cocked. So Kraven throws a net over him and pulls out this rifle. And understandably, Spidey's like, he has a rifle. He doesn't. You don't use a rifle, Kraven. What are you doing? I'm scared. This is dangerous. And then, bang. Kraven shoots Spidey. And, buries him in a grave that he's recently dug. That's right, Kraven just beat and buried Spider-Man. Then it gets into the story of Kraven deciding that in order to beat the Spider-Man, he needs to become the Spider-Man. So he dons a Spidey costume and goes out acting as his vision of Spider-Man, a dark enforcer of the night who beats up criminals. Of course, this ends up getting the Spider-Man name dragged through the mud because Spidey doesn't kill criminals, he doesn't do massive damage to them, he just defeats them and leaves them there for the police. Not Kraven. Kraven does not do that. Eventually, one final test that Kraven sets himself is to beat up Vermin, because Spidey needed the help of Captain America to beat Vermin. Kraven does it single-handedly. After doing that, he captures Vermin, locks him up in a cage, and decides, yep, I'm a better Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Peter Parker wakes up underground, Kill Bill style, and digs his way out of the grave. He's like, I'm still alive! Kraven. First he goes to make sure that Mary Jane is okay. She is. And then he goes to beat up Kraven for what he's done. He finds Kraven, and Kraven's like, go on, beat me up. I'm ready. I'm ready to die. You got nothing. I beat you. I'm better than you. Actually, no, first, I've got one thing I need to show you. And he shows him Vermin locked up in a cage. He sets Vermin free and says, now, you can stay here and beat me up, or you can follow Vermin and catch him because he's dangerous. And Spidey's like, don't you go anywhere. I'm gonna come for you later. Vermin has to be collected. So, Spidey goes out to collect Vermin, and Kraven's like, yep, I'm pretty good. I've proven myself to be the best anyway, so what else is there to do, really? So long, suckers! So Spidey ends up beating Vermin by luring him up to the streets where he goes into sensory overload, goes back to find Kraven, and Kraven's dead. Luckily, Kraven has left a confession and photographic evidence to say, that wasn't the real Spider-Man beating people up, it was me, Kraven. And Peter buries Kraven with a sort of grudging respect. And so that's the end of Kraven's Last Hunt. To say that Kraven's Last Hunt is good is underselling it. Kraven's Last Hunt is damn excellent. It deals with the themes of death and personal peace of mind very, very well. Kraven must be the superior Spider-Man. So he goes out and becomes what he thinks of as the Spider-Man. It's another underlying theme in the book. What makes the Spider-Man? And when it comes down to it, it comes down to, well, the Spider-Man is just Peter Parker. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's not like Superman, where Clark Kent is the facade so that Superman can keep his secret identity. Spider-Man is just an extension of Peter Parker. They are the same dude. Of course, Kraven doesn't know anything about Peter Parker and only sees the version of Spider-Man that he's been hunting, the Dark Enforcer. So that's what he becomes. And on my first read-through of Kraven's Lost Hunt, I thought to myself, this is really, really fun. When I read it again so I could do this review, I realized something else. Kraven's becoming a superior version of Kraven is superior Spider-Man. Now, I really don't like what Dan Slott has done with Superior Spider-Man. And realizing that Kraven's Lost Hunt did a lot of the same things should have made me dislike Kraven's Lost Hunt. It doesn't. Kraven's Lost Hunt does the idea of one of Spidey's villains taking over his mantle so much better than Superior Spider-Man has, for one simple reason. They didn't treat Peter Parker like shit and kill him off, but that's a rant for a different day. Overall, Kraven's Lost Hunt is good stuff. It's definitely worth reading for any Spidey fan, and it just gives us such a good look at the minds of one of his more well-known foes. You're not likely to see Kraven the Hunter in any of the films, but you really should get acquainted with him if you're going to read Spidey. Kraven's Lost Hunt is definitely 8 or 9 out of 10 material. It's quite good. And it's dark without being 90s dark, so it's not ridiculous over-the-top dark. It is 1987's dark, which is almost 90s, but it's not quite. DeMatteis did a good job, so go read Kraven's Lost Hunt if you can get a copy of it. So how did you like the review? Was it good? Was it bad? What'd you think? Leave a comment, subscribe for more, and watch some more of my videos. I'm Trainer Nick, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!